The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and/or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
When stories leap from page to screen, we break them down and talk them through. From classic books to wild adaptations, we're stripping comics just for you. Comic strips, comic strips. We take the tales you love and give them a twist. Every frame, every edit, every plot we picked. It's your friendly neighborhood comic strips.
Well, it took me long enough, but I finally replaced the comic book store.
I was caught off guard.
Yes, that was your surprise.
I am surprised.
Thank
goodness it wasn't on video. I would have been bobbing my head in the wrong rhythm.
Hey, wait a minute, that's not that song. Yeah, I felt it was time to retire it. I'm slowly but surely changing. I think that's the last one. I think for the most part, I've gotten rid of any. No, I still have Futurama TV Party. That's the next one I got to replace. I also have to change the artwork because, like, the guys are sitting on the couch with the TV behind them. It's like a few different versions, older, of ChatGPT's ability to do art. So it is a mess. And Alexa's way back when, she was like, please let me change that logo. And I'm like, yeah, if you can make something better, I'll redo it. So yeah, I got to do the eventually I got to do TV Party and replace that theme, and then all of my themes will be original AI songs with original AI art.
Very good.
But are you sad now that?
AI.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say you could call it Weird AI. It looks like Weird AI. Look, they're not all going to be gold, okay?
I laughed.
I can't be constantly hilarious.
I think you're constantly hilarious. I'm laughing on the inside.
In spite of the delightful holiday romp we're here to talk about today.
Yes, yeah. I suppose let's get to that. It is, of course, the Christmas time. It is winter. So we're talking polar. That's how I planned it.
Had nothing to do with me changing the schedule on you at the last minute.
No, it had nothing to do with the fact we were supposed to do this last month. So anyway.
It's not really a Thanksgiving story.
That's fair. So Polar is a 2012 webcomic and series of graphic novels written and illustrated by Spanish cartoonist Victor Santos, featuring international hitman extraordinaire Black Kaiser. From the Santos 2009 graphic novel Black Kaiser, the webcomic is inspired by a variety of action and noir fiction. Polar is characterized by its stylized design and complete lack of dialogue. Those speech balloons were added in the graphic novel publications by Dark Horse. And then we are comparing it to the live-action film based on the webcomic, which premiered on Netflix in January of 2019, before the world ended, starring Mads Mikkelsen, of which, for reasons I will never understand, a sequel has been announced. Yeah,
Maybe now that Netflix has bought Warner Brothers, they'll have something else to do instead.
Bro, I saw the funniest fucking TikTok right before we went online. I posted it. I don't know if you're still in the group. So
I am.
The group chat, as you know, divided into the NWO Wolfpack and the NWO Black and White. And and those who were in both chats are now starting to leave one chat to exclusively be in the other, as was talked about this morning. So I don't know which one you're still in. Are you in Wolfpack or are you in Black and White?
I don't know which is which, but I'm still in both of them because I turned off the notifications from one a long time ago. So
fair enough. But I didn't bring that up. Oh yeah, the TikTok that I saw. So I posted it in the NWO Black and White chat, and it was Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, and James Cameron all going to Warner Brothers or Netflix or whatever to stop them from buying Warner Brothers. and it's the Avengers all walking towards Thanos. It's a Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man.
Not Squirrel Girl.
It was funny. It was funny when I saw the TikTok, not my explanation of it, and I'm
Okay.
sad. Anyway,
by the way, if I was going to affiliate with any group of wrestlers, it would be Los Hermanos Numeros from season 5 of Angel.
I see you as more of of the group that was led by Hugh Morris, who eventually became General Erection.
I understood the individual words you said, but together they made no sense.
There was a group of like low-level wrestlers that formed a cheeky, sex pun-oriented stable. So there was like General Erection, Major Guns, because she had big boobs. You got it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how much do you know about Victor Santos?
Well, I know he's a Spanish artist who a lot of time writes and draws his projects. Honestly, I didn't know a lot about him before this, although I did find out I knew some of his work, like the Mice Templar, which I haven't actually read, but I've heard because, the pun. I've heard of it. And then I know he did some Godzilla stuff, which would be kind of interesting to see based on the style he did with this one. So
is he the monster that did? I think it was like Godzilla in space, and it's an all like silent comic, and it's part of the reason Christine and I don't talk anymore.
I think you're thinking of Godzilla in Hell, and no, I don't.
I am thinking of Godzilla in Hell.
Yeah, I don't know Hang on, I pulled up a Victor Santos wiki so I could pretend I knew stuff.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I came prepared. Where'd he go? I came prepared, and then I wandered off.
That sounds about right for people on this podcast.
Okay, well, so it's not just me. Yeah, well, my internet's slow, but yeah, Victor Santos, where are you, buddy?
Would you like me?
Oh yeah, I was trying to look up because I was surprised that Black Kaiser was a thing that happened before this.
Yeah, so was I as I was reading that. Now I want to read the original Black Kaiser graphic novel and see if it's. So okay, I got this
Victor
one.
Santos is a 19-year-old soccer phenom who signed with Barcelona.
Fantastic. So this is the version that I have.
Okay.
It's hardcover. It has the Netflix sticker on it.
Okay.
It's kind of reads like if you bought like a compendium of Sunday funnies.
Yeah.
It's like that size. I'm curious to see what the original like Black Kaiser graphic novel actually looks like.
This is what I have. It's on Hoopla, but it's oriented like that.
Yeah, I see it.
Although, and it does zoom in on the panels, which is actually less effective. That I actually zoomed out and just read like the whole pages.
So this reminds me of, what was it, Home, that we did a couple months ago? Like I would never have been able to read an internet read an internet version of that. Like this is one where I need to be able to look at the picture.
Oh yeah. I got the physical copy of that one from the library, but yeah, this one, while usually I like the panel zoom in thing, this one really undercuts the art.
Victor Santos is a cartoonist and screenwriter of the Valencian comics. In 2002, he won the prize Joseph Touton à l'auteur Révélation from the
prestigious.
Yes, sir. I am versed in multiple languages. From the Barcelona International Comics Convention.
Some languages.
Apart from the publishing multiple comics in the Spanish market, he has worked for several American publishers like Image, DC Comics, IDW Publishing. He is one of the most fruitful Spanish authors of his generation and has been highlighted in the Fantastic Comic and the Comic Policiac. His largest and emblematic work is the comic series Los Reyes Elfos, and is also known for the noir comic series Pulp Heroes. The author usually works as a solo author, but also has worked drawing scripts for other authors, especially for the American market, and as a screenwriter for other cartoonists. Listed of notable works is Los Reyes Elfos, Polar. Awards. As the New York Times states, he works Filthy Rich and Witch and Wizard are bestsellers. His works, rather. So, again, back to you and your vast knowledge of the comic industry. Have you seen much Victor Santos? Were you aware of Polar? Have you read any Polar?
No,
Are you referred
was
to as the
not-
Black Kaiser in the adult industry? I like to sneak one in there to see if you're paying
Yeah,
attention.
no, I missed part of that. No, like I said, I'd heard of Mice Templar. I may have seen. I'm trying to look up which of his Godzilla stuff, because I jump in and out of Godzilla comics every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I had to have seen some of his work, but I was not overly familiar with it. Polar, I think when you suggested this was the first time I'd heard of the comic or the movie. So, but
Yeah.
Aging hitman with an eye patch,
What could go wrong? All right, so let's get into the actual comic here. I have notes that I worked with as my co-brain with ChatGPT. Fancy is what I like to call her. So yeah, Victor Santos, Polar, It Came from the Cold, Dark Horse is the publisher, began as a webcomic, and then print editions followed. It is wordless, graphic, and minimalist noir. It's essentially a silent cinema in comic form, almost no dialogue, uses high contrast colors, black, white, and orange highlights. Every page is composed like a movie storyboard, which I really liked. Let me stop there, just reading this cold, and get your... We're getting spammed here. Hi, Prav. Now I've acknowledged them. I acknowledged me. I have acknowledged somebody from the YouTube chat. I really like the storyboard nature of the art. My first pass through the book, I was thinking about how this podcast was going to go, and I'm like, well, I really can't comment on the story or the dialogue. There's a story, but there isn't much dialogue here. So I'm really going to have to just focus on the style in which the book is presented. Because, again, it kind of takes a tried and true idea. A hitman is betrayed by the agency that he works for and goes on the hunt and starts killing the killers. And then eventually,
it's weird that we've never talked about a comic and movie like that before.
Not even a little.
Being hunted by the people they worked for.
Yeah. It's not used in like every movie ever these days.
They're like losers.
But so like talking about that aspect of it, was kind of a dead end for me. Talking about the presentation of it, the color contrast, I think that's where I stayed focused on. So let me ask you, I'll just stop there and let me ask you a question. What did you think of the book, the way it's presented?
Well, at first, I wasn't super impressed because I was looking for the dialogue, the story, and everything. And then I got to the end and I'm like, oh, it was originally presented as a wordless comic. I'm like, that makes so much more sense.
I like it more now that I know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm not very perceptive sometimes, but the art is very striking. Like even when stuff was going on that I wasn't, particularly enthused about, I'm like, this is extremely well done, and it's like it's interesting how it's this almost cartoonish style, but not the kind of thing you would expect in a cartoon. So once I got that explanation, I'm like, oh, okay. So most of the story was told visually because the parts where there were dialogue added very little in my mind. I'm like, okay, I understand this. Those people are trying to kill him. I don't really know why. Without dialogue, I would have just had to have pieced it together myself. And there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing the dialogue revealed that made me go, oh, well,
that explains
I hadn't
everything.
thought about this. Let me re-examine the human condition. Nor should everything have to do that. But once it got to that, it was pretty interesting. I mean, it's very gory, but it's not. Maybe the right way to say it is it's very gory, but it's not very graphic. I mean, there's horrible stuff happening, but it's as much implied as it is shown. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And yeah, the action, I mean, the action sequences are creative. And as I was reading it, I'm like, okay, this looks good, but I'm not getting much more than that. And then I come to the end and I'm like, that's about what I was supposed to get from it. So, okay. How somebody decided, what this needs is live actors and dialogue. I'm not sure. Well, I have a theory, but as far as the visual elements, which is like 90% of this, I thought all that was extremely well done.
Here's the thing. If I'm a movie producer and my intern or assistant or somebody is like, here's a bunch of comics that are not going to be expensive to get licenses for that we can adapt. They're all action oriented. And I'm looking at Polar. I can see that being made into a movie. Not this fucking movie, but I can see it being made into a movie.
I can see it being made into a movie, but as the great scientist and philosopher Ian Malcolm once said, you were so concerned with whether you could do it, you didn't think about whether you should.
Here's the thing. The idea of an agency kind of deciding that we brought up John Wick, the John Wick archetype of the assassin who's either retired or has been excommunicated and now is got a price on his head, and he has to kill a bunch of killers and eventually find the head of whatever this organization is that's out for blood and do away with them.
Yeah.
Tried and true.
Mm-hmm.
It works when it's handled by competent people. Doesn't work so much when it's not. See this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
hang on. I was going somewhere with this.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
That was like half a thought. So again, if I'm in the business of greenlighting movies and it's like, hey, comic books are popular. Adapt comic books. That's easy pickings for movies, especially if you're doing a streaming movie like this one turned out to be for Netflix. I think the way that this comic book breaks down, where you have this lone gunman essentially out in wintry landscapes, and there's and you get to do a lot of monochrome, black and white, and then red everywhere because he's bleeding and stuff like that. I actually think in the hands of a competent director, a competent cinematographer, a competent art director, you would have a very pretty looking violent movie. We'll get to what happened, what mess this became. But I think as it is, if you take this book, right? I'd like to see my etchings. And you and you start kind of bringing some of this artwork to life, I actually think you would have a really cool looking movie. I would greenlight this. And now I will shut up and let you retort.
Yeah, definitely. If you lean into the art, because like I said, that's almost all there is to this story. I mean, like you said, the hitman who's been put out to pasture and now has to hunt the hunters, etc. That's been done. So give me something different. Whether it's the fact that it's Keanu Reeves and he's doing it all for a dog with just these relentless nonstop action sequences, or if he's on the run with his kid in the Prohibition era, things like that. But the only thing that makes this stand out is the visual style, and that was not adapted.
No. Yeah, and we'll talk about that with the movie, but I would love to extend this conversation longer and be more in depth. But I don't know if there's anything else left to talk about with this comic book. Let me finish reading my notes here and see if that spawns anything. The story is stripped down to archetypes: retired assassin, government conspiracies, old enemies resurfacing, tone and identity. No quips, no comedy, hyper violent but almost meditative. More Le Samurai than John Wick. A comic is built on mood, composition, and negative space, not plot density. Can we talk about negative space for a moment? Because that came up a lot in our discussion of Home, where a lot of, and again, this discussion almost has to almost exclusively be about the art in this instead of what we normally do, which is talk about narrative. Because like you said, that's all there really is to this.
Yeah.
But in Home, the framework of each art piece was never centered. It was always a big negative space and a dude in a corner. There was a lot of that going on in Home. And I didn't notice it until I read that note. But thinking back through my, would you say you were reading this book, or what would be a better way of saying this? Because no one's reading Polar.
I don't know. I debate this with my daughter. I'm like, if it's a book, you're reading it. You're taking in information visually. As you're perusing it, experiencing it,
viewing it,
coloring it.
As I was viewing this book page by page,
Mm.
Thinking back to that now, I do recall, like, he's kind of always in the corner, and then there's this giant block of white. Like, I can't remember the name of the artist or necessarily even the art style. I might have to look it up in a second. But that, like, white canvas, red dot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. It's like somebody said, take that kind of painting, but make it a John Wick for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Polar.
Well, it's also, we talked about how often this subject matter has been done. So, I mean, you could have a really excellent artist drawing it in the way you'd expect, and it wouldn't stand out. This stands out. This makes you look at stuff you've seen before in a different way.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm referring to maybe a Jackson Pollock.
Okay.
Grand scale. Let me see.
Is it that painting the Kingpin was always staring at on Netflix, Daredevil?
Kinda. When I just threw it into Google Gemini, it says a white canvas, red dot painting usually refers to a minimalist or abstract art, which is what I thought it was, emphasizing stark contrast and simplicity. A single red dot on a vast white expanse, symbolizing focus, isolation, or balance. However, the red dot can also refer to a pointillist. Okay, so what I was going for is the minimalist abstract art, and I don't remember what the specific name of the painting was. That was very popular. Red dot might not have been the best way to describe it because it's more, giant circle colored red, and
the Japanese flag,
even kind of, but again, not centered.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of my impression of Polar. It was like, let's take that minimalist abstract art style and make a noir revenge assassin book out of it, which is a weird concept. And like, if Victor Santos was here, I would love to ask him questions.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly, why would you do this?
I did read one thing that said the reason he went without dialogue was because it would have been, I don't want to say too much work, like he was being lazy, but he would have had to have like translated it to English and stuff like that. So he's just like, I'm just going to tell the story without dialogue. I mean, so the dialogue adds very little.
Yeah.
Like there was a line, this old man doesn't want to die, but he does want to kill.
I did have a very Evan Bevins question.
Oh, okay.
So we all know that I'm a dirty pervert, but I was reading the book, and within the first few pages, we have a busty woman doing busty woman sex stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the movie, and all the things they left out of the original book, the thing they kept was the busty woman doing sex stuff, and lots of it.
Yeah, they added to it.
And I don't want to misconstrue you as a person, so I didn't want to make any assumptions. But I was concerned that between the book and the movie, you were just like Radulich, with that particular bit of it.
Oh no, I mean, I did think I'm like, I wonder if Mark picked this because it was on the list or because he wondered how I would react to it.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It made more sense. I mean, mainly I was struck by the ridiculousness of some of that content in the movie, regardless of the the moral or taste values or anything else. I'll talk about some of that logic when we get to the movie. I mean, it made sense for the genre. You've got to have femme fatales. I also had to remind myself this was a web comic, so some of the repetition, it's like, oh boy, another headshot. Well, okay, but if you were reading this as it was coming out, contemporaneously, I don't know. If you're reading it as it was coming out, you've got a few days in between that. Like, I'm already forgetting the redhead's name. I think it was just Vian.
Mm-hmm.
They changed it to Vivian in the adaptation for reasons. Yeah. But yeah, the redhead who was quite dangerous. it's like every time she shows up, she's taking off her clothes, and it's like, okay, we get it. She has no inhibitions, but it's, it's like
my kind of gal.
Well, but it's almost like the I'm mixing up two things, but the infamous Alec Baldwin Canteen Boy sketch with Adam Sandler, where he's sitting there and he just like rips his shirt and goes, "Oops, my shirt fell off." I mean, that's like I expected this lady in the limited dialogue to go, "Oh no, my clothes fell off again," and it was just like I understand femme fatale, you want to draw a sexy woman, but it's just, I mean, like, why doesn't she just walk in naked? It seems like it would just save time.
Well, that doesn't leave anything to the imagination, Evan. My goodness, propriety, sir.
But I mean, that's I mean, even more than me going, "Oh, there's so much violence." It was just like, "Oh, we're gonna shoot somebody in the head again." Oh, look, the redheaded lady is taking her clothes off again.
Yeah, I will. In support of what you're saying, there were times in the book I was like, did I just see the same page from a previous part of the book all over again? Did he run out of ideas? What are we doing here?
But like I said, if it's more episodic, you're getting like a page a day or something, that's more spread out. But that was something that struck me was, and again, once I read the afterword and was like, oh, this is how they did it. I'm like, okay, that's why there wasn't that. Like, one of my notes was, well, so far this is all style, no substance, and it's like, well, that's, I mean, I'm not saying you can't have substance in a silent story, but the focus was clearly on the visual. And even if I didn't like some of the visuals, I can't deny for a second that it's striking and very effective.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Polar the movie here.
How this became a beloved holiday classic starring Tom Hanks, I had no clue.
It's funny. So I'm gonna ruin that now. So like, I said that joke off air, and Evan goes, "Don't ruin my joke." And now, and I'm like, "Well, you can do it on air." I was like, "Well, if I have to,"
and so I
coming,
did.
If you know it's coming, I don't want to do it. And Evan couldn't help himself.
Yeah, sorry. I guess I just need better training.
All right. So the Polar film.
Did YouTube just shut us down?
Not for that.
Okay.
So as we were saying, so this was directed by Jonas Åkerlund. If you don't know who Jonas Åkerlund is, well, you should. Jonas Åkerlund is known for Spun. Oh, you ever seen Spun?
I have not.
Spun is great. Me and Sean did that as one of the early on trials.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it wasn't an early on trial. It was early in the video days on trial. And it was one of those like indie movies that I'm like, Sean, you have to see it because he hadn't seen it yet. I'm like, you got to see this movie. It's fucking fantastic. So there's that. Then he did Horseman in 2009, Small Apartments in 2012, Lords of Chaos. Do you know Lords of Chaos?
I've heard of it. I thought he was the guy that was Emilio Estevez's mentor in Mighty Ducks and the villain in Lethal Weapon 2.
I'm gonna keep going.
That's Joss Ackland.
So Jonas Åkerlund, the Lords of Chaos movie is about the black metal band Mayhem. Jesse and I actually reviewed that way back when because it was a Hulu movie.
Okay. Yeah, I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. So he's a Swedish filmmaker and musician who is best known for his work in music videos. Åkerlund was a member of the Swedish black metal band Bathory, which actually I'm just now learning. According
you didn't know that?
Shut up. Jillian Drachman of Metal Injection. Many people do not know that Jonas Åkerlund is a musician. He has directed well-known videos for artists such as Queens of the Stone Age, Christina Aguilera, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Blink-182, Blondie, Duran Duran, Lady Gaga, David Guetta, Jamiroquai, Lenny Kravitz, Madonna, Paul McCartney, Metallica, Moby, Ozzy Osbourne, Pink, The Prodigy.
I'm not curious as to which Taylor Swift video he directed.
Well,
I can find it. You may continue.
Well, now you got me curious. I would imagine that was within recent years. So let's see.
Jeez, why you got to be so mean?
He did a video for Kesha and Lady Gaga. Your favorite band. He did one for Make America Great Again for by Pussy.
Oh yeah.
Hold It Against Me for Britney Spears.
New Romantics.
Oh, is that the one?
And he directed the concert film, the 1989 World Tour Live.
Wonderful.
Wow, that's
he won a Grammy for Best Music Film, Paul McCartney's Live Kisses. He's won a Grammy for the Best Long-Form Music Video, Madonna, NBC Special, The Confessions Tour. He won a Grammy Best Short-Form Music Video, Madonna, Ray of Light. And he won a couple
Homer
of MTV...
Simpson's won a Grammy.
No, my goodness. And he's won an MTV Music Award for Ray of Light and Evan Bevins' favorite song, Smack My Bitch Up. So that's Jonas Ackerland. It stars...
yeah, but the stripped-down acoustic version.
Right, yeah. With a harp. It stars Mads Mikkelsen, Vanessa Hudgens, Catherine Winnick, and Matt Lucas. To my other notes
And
here.
out of freaking nowhere, Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
I was actually watching it, and I'm like, holy crap, is that Richard Dreyfuss? And then I'm like, nah. And then the credits roll, and by golly, it's Richard Dreyfuss.
So being a former music video director, he leaned hard into the aggressive style, color, and energy for this movie. Netflix positioned Polar as a response to the success of John Wick, Aging Assassin, Revenge Spree, choreograph-driven violence. Mads Mikkelsen was the biggest draw. It's loud, chaotic, neon, ultra-violent, kind of like Refn, but less coherent. Cartoonish villains. Matt Lucas plays a live-action Saturday morning cartoon villain. It deepens Vizsla's backstory with emotional trauma, a surrogate romantic relationship, a more conventional revenge structure, sensationalized, or just sensational, sex and violence, very different from the comic. The film is not an adaptation of the comic's tone. It's the comic skeleton injected with stylistic steroids. So what did you think of the movie, Evan?
I was interested in that description because the comic was all style.
Well, I don't think it's saying in contrast.
Too much credit to say it had a skeleton.
Okay. Very good, Evan. What did you think of the movie?
At first, I was struck by the fact that this actually looks like Beck Bennett trying to do Nobody. I mean, I know Mads Mikkelsen, but the whole time I was like, man, 2019 must have been really rough on Beck Bennett. And then the inexplicable comedic scene where he's speaking to the school children made me think of those AT&T commercials that Bennett used to do.
Can I tell you, at about that time, I just started doing puzzles on my phone. I was like, I am finishing this as an obligation to Evan, but this movie.
That's funny because I finished it as an obligation to you. It's like the gift of the Magi over here. So, yeah, I mean, we've already talked about the fact that they had to put a whole lot more story and dialogue in than in the comic, and that's why I said. I mean, I get what you were saying about. Well, it's a tried and true formula, and you could do it stylistically. Plus, it's adapted from a comic book, so I mean, at some point somebody's gonna greenlight a Hostess Fruit Pies movie and be like, based on the Marvel comic ads.
Twinkie the Kid, the movie.
It'll happen.
And if they do it in the tone of the Lone Ranger, I'm in.
But so I get all that, but there, I don't know. I had a better way of saying this, but it's just there's so much you had to add, and what they added wasn't very good. I didn't understand in the comic why Damocles, whatever it was trying to kill off its old assassins, but I also didn't need to know that because it's just hey, the old assassins get it. So we had to have this whole thing about, well, if we don't pay them the pension, we can go public, and it's okay. I get it. Corporations are bad.
Yeah, I just kind of attributed it to straight up greed. What's funny to me is that you don't even need that second part. You can just be like, well, he's worked all this time, and if he lives to this age, we have to pay him this pension, and we don't want to do that, so just kill him. Wall Street Part 3, like that.
Yeah.
That to me is just like an anti-corporate fucking storyline, and I'm fine with that. I could actually see like Amazon doing that as a movie about itself.
And then, well, we do the initial John Wick thing was, he got a dog, and I'm like, oh no, there was not a dog in the comic, but I know how this is going to go. I just didn't expect him to kill the dog. And then he got fish, and I'm like, so this is supposed to be dark comedy now? Can we just talk about the team of assassins? Sydney and Hildy and Facundo and the dude with the red beard.
But if you're going to bring that up now, let me talk about that first scene. So it has Johnny Knoxville as creepy sex guy, creepy rich drug dealing sex guy, and then we have what is the character's name? Vivian.
Cindy, but it's with an S, like
Cindy.
sin.
Okay. This movie subtle as a mule kick. So Cindy with an S now coming to the stage. She'll be available for lap dances shortly. This movie starts off with the two of them, and she is sexing him up.
People will think that you are exaggerating, but if anything, you're underselling it.
So the movie opens up, and she's sexing Johnny Knoxville up, and Johnny Knoxville is just happy to be an actor in Hollywood. And he takes a Viagra and gets himself a nice Kali-sized boner. Kind of think John Turturro in whatever movie he was, where he walks in with the sweatpants and the huge heart on. That kind of a thing. And
God, I haven't seen that.
I think it's a Jennifer Lopez movie. Don't remember. It doesn't matter. So anyway, the whole point is she's there to distract Johnny Knoxville long enough so that the assassin in the bush can shoot him through the back, which I did not understand, because why wouldn't you shoot him in the head? But
yeah, for all the headshots that were in the comics, there were at least 2 very obvious headshots that weren't taken in this movie.
And the thing of it is that she's setting him up by giving him a blowjob, so that if she's blowing him, he'll be still long enough for the assassin to shoot him in the fucking head. And instead, we shoot him in the back. Why? So there's that.
Why do you need 4 people to do this?
That was the other thing.
Could have done it.
That was my other issue with that scene. Was like, I can see her being there to set him up so that he's in the right position for the assassin to get a clean shot. What do you need the other 2 people for? Like one headshot should have done it, and even if it doesn't, get another one in the heart. If you're that much of a sharpshooter that you're an assassin, you should be fine with this. This is not hard. You're not trying to shoot a president in a fucking parade.
Maybe they got those 4 people together and then assigned the roles, and they're like, you're the best shot, so you be the sniper. It's like,
you have a sniper, you don't need these other 2 people, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get that Johnny Knoxville, I think all appearances to the contrary in that scene, was supposed to be an assassin too. And I mean, okay, I get maybe sending backup, but it's like they wanted to all kill him a little bit at a time. Like they had 47 opportunities to kill the guy. And I'm not advocating violence, but a little efficiency at least.
I honestly think that, so first of all, this whole script feels noted to death. 2 reasons. One, I honestly think somebody saw Kill Bill and was like, we need some Kill Bill in here. Lots of funny assassins with wonderful names. But here's what I really wanted to say. 2 things. One, Polar is not a fun comic. Polar is a very serious comic. It takes itself seriously. It is morose in tone. This movie is almost comical the way that it begins. Like, Cindy is wearing garish fucking lipstick, and she needs to wear garish lipstick so that we can have the reverse shot of Johnny Knoxville covered in kisses like a cartoon animal.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to be funny, but that's only a percentage of the humor in there. It's not all intended.
Right. So there's that. And so the whole movie starts off like it's going to be like an action comedy. And then you meet Mads Mikkelsen, and God, later on when they torture him, this movie is somewhat very serious and very gross. and like melancholy. Like there's whole part, dude. The first time we see Mads Mikkelsen, shortly after we met him, he accidentally in a PTSD nightmare twitch shoots his newly bought dog and has to bury it in the backyard. And you're like, how the fuck did we just go from Johnny Knoxville doing his best Tom the Cat impression to Mads Mikkelsen? You don't want to be better than John Wick having his dog killed by the Russian mob? I'll kill the dog myself because I've got PTSD and I'm having a night terror.
And you know what? I actually briefly had a little bit of hope there because I was like, oh, they're going to say violence has consequences. But yeah, then it became just a running joke. Like, oh, I guess I'll burn my Training Your New Dog book, and now I'll get goldfish. I mean, I fully expected the goldfish to die and for him to get like a ferret that gets set on fire.
Like it should be a running gag throughout the movie to keep shooting his own pets.
Yeah,
like, and that in and of itself would have been a better plot. So my point is that first scene should be setting the tone from the movie, and it's all wrong. And I feel like the first draft of this was as serious as the book, and then whatever studio executive was in charge of managing this project was like, well, no, we don't want it to be serious. You know, we want people to have fun. It's a Netflix, for God's sakes, Adam Sandler. And like, all right, let's change the tone. We'll get Johnny Knoxville. We'll change the tone of this. And now it's a mess, is what it is. Because they kept like the melancholy seriousness in places, but then also kept the cartoony stuff that is wildly incongruous to the tone of the rest of the movie.
It is possible to mix those things, but they did not do it.
It's possible to mix a lot of things, but you need a good chemist to do it. This didn't have the chemist. This had the Swedish chef.
I would like a cut of this movie narrated by the Swedish chef.
Bark, bark, bark. Anyway. Other problem...
There needs to be a commentary track. You know, it's like, okay, so why did they need 4 people to kill this one idiot? Bernie Schnurgenberg. Oh, interesting.
I would love to see Polo directed by the Swedish chef. Where's the Spurgy with the big titties? Where's the bird in the head? All right. Someone do a Sora video for that for me. Swedish. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going right to Zora. Swedish chef directing a movie. Anyway,
a graphic, dark action comedy.
Yes. Hang on. My other problem, my second, I've been dying to talk about this, and then I swear to God, I will concede the floor to you. But my second problem with this with that opening scene is that it's a Chekhov's gun. My son loves the term Chekhov's gun now, by the way. Since he learned it, he's like, there's a Chekhov's gun. There's a Chekhov's gun. He's like a pointer dog.
Wouldn't it be more accurate to be a Chekhov's phaser?
So there's a Chekhov's gun right at the beginning of this, right? So she's like, I'm going to blow you so that you'll stand still and we can kill you. And he's like, wonderful. I enjoy this sort of thing. So
yes, the clever line, blow time.
It's blow time. So anyway, fast forward now to just as the second act is ending, and the
comic is starting.
Yeah, and she and Mads Mikkelsen, she plays a damsel in distress. Mads Mikkelsen, White Knights. He takes her back to the cabin, and they have porno sex, which is wonderful if you're into that sort of thing. Here's my thing, and even the movie kind of called it out. Like, the object is for you you're not a prostitute, you're an assassin, and you're a setup girl. You're supposed to move him into position so that he doesn't suddenly move when I finally take the shot. So she does the same trick again. She's like, all right, it's blow time. Like, they've already done 3 or 4 porno positions by this point. They have done a lot of banging by the time she gets to, and now the blowjob. And it's like, I don't want to be that picky about this, but one, none of that was necessary. All you had to do was the blowjob part, just like you did with Johnny Knoxville, and he's in position, and you've done a good assassin job. Instead, we have to have a timeout for lots of sex, like an excessive amount of sex for this kind of movie. Graphic sex, to the point where I was wondering, It's 2019. Are we doing intimacy coordinators just yet? Have that become a thing?
I mean, I almost wondered if Mads Mikkelsen did get a producer credit. So I'm wondering if he just said, "Look, this is the scene we need to do."
Yeah, I'm gonna actually bang you on camera. This is happening. Hope you enjoy your career in Hollywood. But yeah, they do. I'm not saying that that's what actually happened.
Right, but yeah, I even
it
wondered.
got excessive. To the
Yeah.
point where it was in movie, it was utterly unnecessary.
Right.
Because that only works if they have a building relationship where she forgets she's a fucking assassin and falls in love with him. Which is kind of what they're implying, except they had a whole scene to make that happen. Oh, and by the way, when they finally start shooting at him, she flips back again. What is she, Paul White in the early 2000s? That's a wrestling joke.
I thought it was. Yeah, I did not.
He flipped
right over my head.
He flipped face and heel a lot.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, after the Hulk Hogan Saturday morning cartoon, my wrestling knowledge really declines.
Well, for the few wrestling fans that heard me say that, they got a laugh.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
That's
possibly more than they would have gotten watching the movie.
Mildly tickling wrestling fans. That's what I'm here for.
I honestly wondered at one point, I'm like, so is the point of her character, and probably there's no mystery to the point of her character. It's like, hey, we gave you enough money. Will you take off your clothes and just do whatever we ask? But I was like, was the point of her character that she's not one of these that'll freeze up if she actually has to go all the way in a sexual situation? And how is that a story point or anything anybody needed?
Yeah, I feel like you're giving this movie way too much credit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tried for you, Mark. I tried to go. I tried to think critically and consider the craft.
What was the movie where you and I were earlier this year where I was? Oh, it was No Country for Old Men.
No, it was not.
Which one we were arguing about the sex scene on the stairs?
A History of Violence.
A History of Violence.
And I defended the logic of the scene, if not the content.
All right.
Yeah, but here's the thing: A History of Violence had unnecessarily graphic sex scenes, but nowhere near the level of this. It had horrific violence.
Oh yeah, Let me help you. Nothing in A History of Violence was pornographic. Just uncomfortable. This is pornographic.
Yeah. So, and then also what bothered me about that scene, because that was one of the few things that actually came from the comic. In the comic, he notices, something reflecting in her mouth. It's a razor blade. I thought it was Joe Pesci's tooth from Home Alone at first. But so he noticed something. And this was all happenstance. Like I kept waiting for him to see the laser sight or something, but this was all happenstance. That she just happened to get shot, and then he shoots her and hatchet right to her face, because the only thing better than graphic sex is graphic sex with graphic violence. But then can we talk about how he takes out the sniper? He crossed a lake, buck naked, killed the guy, then laid down
in the dead of winter with snow everywhere.
And then laid down before stealing the guy's clothes and sniped one of the other killers? At this point, is it a cartoon?
Look into his eyes. Uh-oh, he's been telling lies. He's a lover boy at play. He don't play by rules. That would have been awesome, right? That entire scene was.
Oh, he's a cold-hearted snake. Okay.
Yeah.
His heart wasn't the only thing that was cold.
Oh, yeah. So is his hedgehog. Listen,
should we talk about the one part of the movie I did like?
Yeah. Why don't you take? I said I would concede the floor to you. So by all means.
So just about everybody in this movie I felt like was a caricature. There's one person I felt like most of the movie was actually trying to play a character, and that was Vanessa Hudgens.
I know. So I can address the people. My girlfriend currently the only one watching me on TikTok, so I have to occasionally interact with TikTok, or TikTok thinks I'm ignoring everyone.
Oh no, I didn't want you to have accidentally deprived the audience of a brilliant bit of criticism and theory, and nobody get to hear it.
Gotcha.
That's what I was worried about. But no, I like Vanessa Hudgens in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was doing a totally different movie than everybody else.
Yeah, again, she's in the melancholy version of this movie. They spliced together with the action comedy starring Johnny Knoxville.
I was so glad that for most of the movie, I thought she was going to turn out to be the character that he unceremoniously and creepily jumps in bed with in the comic, which was his old buddy's daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, but you're, she's like, no, he's not here. And he's like, oh, okay. I was so glad it didn't go in that direction, but like, I couldn't figure out what her deal was. Like, there was no reason I could see for her to befriend this, not exactly creepy, but standoffish guy. And then you could tell she had some sort of trauma. And then she told a story and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then I'm like, okay, so this is going to be his buddy's daughter and he's protecting her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, spoiler alert, if for some reason we haven't convinced you not to skip this movie, but it turns out that she was the survivor of the assassination he kept flashing back to that made him shoot his dog.
Right.
And I figured out pretty early on she was the one that he was sending money to all the time. But so he somehow, unless I missed it, correct me if I'm wrong, did not know that's who it was, even though he decided to retire to the place she lives. And so he brought all of this stuff on her after he'd already ruined her life.
Yeah.
But she did not, there was no forced romance. She is, she's Vanessa Hudgens, so she's still adorable, but it wasn't like, oh, let's put on a fire and I'll unbutton 6 buttons on my top. There was no like, I'll take off my glasses and toss my hair and suddenly, wow. She was like an interesting three-dimensional character. And then we get to the end and that whole thing didn't make sense. But like, you see in the comic, by the way he handles these other assassins and stuff, you don't need any dialogue to say this guy is dangerous. You don't need Vivian constantly going, you shouldn't mess with him. He's dangerous. But this, it's like he survives almost through slapstick, and he doesn't know that she, like, if he really wanted to protect her, maybe don't go live in the same town as her. Let's say you didn't know she was the one across the.
Here's the last thing I'm going to say about this movie, and then I'll let you give your final word. We can move on. For you to cheer and be on the side of and be with your protagonist, who is a killer, your killer has to be sympathetic or at the very least interesting. He can be stoic. Men should be stoic. I think stoicism in men it shouldn't be your entire character, but it can be a character trait, and I think it can be a good one, both in real life and in fiction. Stoic is not borderline depressed. Also, stoic is not a robot. Stoic is the closest like pop culture thing I can come up with for stoic would probably be Spock. Spock is stoic. Spock, as he's described in the show, I actually talked about this earlier in the year. Star Trek, the one with Pike that me and David have been reviewing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I know that's a thing. I'm just glad you said Star Trek. I thought you were talking about the pediatrician. And
no, oh my God, Evan. I want to be like One Fine Mission. I'm like, no, that's not right. Like fucking Julia Roberts and
Strange New Worlds.
That's it. Strange New Worlds. Thank you. So they talk about this in an episode of Strange New Worlds where everybody turned into Vulcans, where Spock's like, it's not that we don't have emotions. It's that we actually feel things more so than humans do. But that's the problem. If you're all emotions, nothing ever gets accomplished. It's all reactiveness. You can't build anything on pure emotion. You have to counter it. You have to modify it with stoicism, with logic, with self-control. These are metaphors for maturing and evolving. So the Vulcans in Star Trek, Spock in particular, because he's also half human, is somebody who is very much fighting against the tide of overwhelming emotions and doing all of the inner work to keep these things at bay, look at things logically, don't be reactive, be patient, be intellectually curious, have a high level of emotional intelligence, etc. That to me is stoicism. What they're doing with Michael Madsen is what people think stoicism is without actually understanding it. He's just melancholy. He's depressed. He's traumatized.
And
they think that's stoicism.
Too.
What was that?
I said it seems like there's some infinite sadness in there too.
You might even say it's a cherub rock. So anyway, can't you take anything seriously?
No.
So I hate the fact that this is what, like John Wick, he can pass for stoic. And everyone thinks that that's what they're doing when you just, it's like George Lucas also, I want to make the Jedi stoic. So I'll have them have no emotions, react not emotionally to anything. And they'll all just be,
except sand.
Yeah. They'll all be emotionless monks. And I'm like, no one understands the psychological condition. So, like, my point that I was getting to was when he finally gets his just desserts, when he finally gives the villain his comeuppance, I don't care. I was never with this character. You've never given me a reason to be. Like, you've given him kind of a traumatic backstory and expected that to be enough. And maybe for people watching this as passively as most people watch movies, that is enough. I almost guarantee you if I put this in front of like 10 people, at least 8 of them would be like, it's fine. I had a good time with it. But it requires no thought of you. It assumes you'll just enjoy the violence and the tits and, good enough for government work. This is the point that the last thing I'll say, and this is the point that I always try to drive home in our group chat. If it doesn't survive scrutiny, it's actually not good. It might be entertaining, depending on what you require to entertain you, but I would not call that quality filmmaking, and there is a difference. And I will let you have the final word about Polar, the movie.
Yeah, I didn't even find it entertaining. One of my favorite movies that you and I talked about, a couple years ago, we did the Christmas triple feature, and I had forgotten In Bruges was a Christmas set movie. Now I am sick and tired of the assassin with the heart of gold. I only kill the people who deserve it. It's like, that's great. So your morality is that you set the line on who deserves to live a little higher than the other guy. That's nothing. But in Bruges, like, there was a guy who had done a truly horrible thing. He was truly sorry about it. There was no way to make up for it. And these guys were doing horrible things, but they were relatable people. They had emotions. I really like that movie. And this, was just, this guy kills people real good just because the script calls for it. Like, we don't see anything about it. He's not very observant. He's not a student of the human condition or anything like that. He just does his thing, but he has PTSD. So he feels bad. And he's going to teach a classroom of small children how to murder people with a knife. But, really but he's not going to take advantage of poor traumatized Camille. And I think that was her name. And he feels bad about stuff. So there you go. He's a hero. And right. I mean, I don't know. I just, it didn't work for me. Like I said, it was not that I was totally blown away by the comic, but the comic was primarily an exercise in art, and it was from that perspective, it was a total success. And that's like 90% or more of what it was. This didn't have the visual stuff. What they added to the story made it worse somehow. And even the stuff in this universe didn't make sense. And then, eventually, like, so So he's traumatized, and we're supposed to have empathy for him for that. But then we're going to watch, like 15 minutes of up close of him getting tortured. And then I guess we're supposed to think it's cool because that shrapnel he never got removed is how he picked the lock. But at that point, I didn't care anymore.
So last note here, critical reception. On the review aggregator Rotten Tomato, Polar has a 20% critic score, with most reviews panning the film. Common complaints: critics called it gross, stupid, and relentlessly ugly film from start to finish. The consensus criticized it for emphasizing blood splatter and bouncing butts over literally all else. You could tell a music director directed this, including plot and character development. Some reviewers said the film tries hard to shock and stylize, but ends up feeling hollow or chaotic rather than thrilling. It's widely seen as a failed adaptation, violent and flashy, but lacking in coherence, character depth, and meaningful narrative. Fan reaction. While critics largely rejected Polar, a portion of viewers found things to say, like, especially if they approached it as a mindless action flick rather than serious cinema. I believe I just said that. The audience meter is much higher, indicating many viewers found it worth a watch. On forum boards like Reddit, some fans reacted positively. For example, I honestly thought it's an excellent Netflix original movie, so enjoyable to watch. Common fan praise. Why? Common fan praise. The film's over-the-top violence, stylized visuals, and action sequences. For some viewers, those are crazy fun enough to make it entertaining. Some reviewer fans called it a guilty pleasure, a loud, indulgent B-movie style actioner to enjoy without expecting narrative subtlety. Not high art, but for viewers looking for blood, mayhem, and stylized silliness, it delivers enough to entertain a niche if you lower your expectations. So, here, go ahead.
You mentioned Kill Bill earlier.
Yeah.
I've watched both Kill Bill movies. Hated the first one. The second one, my honest assessment of it was that by the time it was over, it was 2 hours later than when I started watching it. That I was just completely, but even like I gave up on Tarantino movies a long time ago. I'm just like, he doesn't make them for me. All I'm going to do is complain. So let's just save those 2 hours. But even the first Kill Bill, like, I recognize there's skill there. He's not doing what I want to watch or what I want to spend my time doing. But like,
two things. Yeah. That opening fight with Vivica, I think it's Vivica Fox.
Yeah.
Where they're hitting each other with fucking pans.
Mm-hmm.
Is a wonderfully choreographed pro wrestling match. The fight with Uma Thurman versus the Crazy 88, that is, if you are okay with blood splatter and like sword fights, is beautiful. It is a wonderfully crafted, synchronized killing sequence.
Well, it's amazing. And like we were talking about before we went on about John Wick and how I hated John Wick 3, but not because it was a badly made movie, just because everything it said, which was kill everybody who cares, is not my thing. Right. This says and does things I don't like and does it in a way that I don't find compelling or entertaining in the least.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, thinking now that I know that this is a music director, like, this movie visually makes a lot more sense to me aesthetically. I also think that, like, especially with the production company or the financiers being Netflix, I think that Netflix is not looking to make, like, Netflix has enough money to go buy a prestige picture from a festival, or something that has like a limit, like a Neon or something like that, or A24. It's got limited run in theaters. And then they're like, well, we're looking for a distributor. And then Netflix can kind of swoop in and go, look, we have a prestige movie we had nothing to do with. We bought it. We bought ourselves a victory. When they're making their own shit, they are just looking for something to keep you on that channel. And it's like, all right, which cookies and jingling keys are the most effective at retaining viewers? Because that's the movie we're going to make. Polar.
Yeah, and I understand all that, but I'm saying even if you set the bar really low, you could do better than this.
I think it's a great way to end this. So, next time, that we get together will not be a comic strip. We will be doing a triple feature because, God, I love to watch 97 movies in a week. We'll be looking at Oblivion, Snowpiercer, and The Fountain. And what do those things have in common? They are tangentially related to comic books in some way. But none of them actually have a comic book to compare, or we'd just be doing a comic strip. So that's what we're doing there. This past week, there was no show Sunday because Jesse had to cancel to do some stuff with his kids. We reviewed Zootopia 2 on Monday. There was an Indie-Siders this past week. We looked at The Era of Honor Begins. We also talked about Survivor Series, the TNA AMC deal, Full Gear, John Cena's, the last lap of John Cena's retirement tour,
Wrestling,
et cetera, et cetera. We were supposed to do a triple feature. Sean bailed. Shay was sick. Shay's backup got there 5 minutes late, and I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. And then he begged me to reschedule it, so I did because I am easily bullied. So
you have a heart of gold, just like Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, I should be so lucky to bang a girl like Cindy. So Dorian and I, what was that?
She's just trying to kill you. She's just trying to set you up so 3 other people can shoot you in ways that hurt but don't kill.
Well, if she can wait till my son turns 18, I'm willing to die that way. Anyway, next week. So we rescheduled it for Wednesday, December 10th. It's a David Fincher focus. The Killer, 7 in Zodiac. But before that, more comic books. Yay! Jesse and I are going to be doing a Grant Morrison focus. We're going to look at Happy, Nameless, and Joe the Barbarian. Monday, unfortunately, we're going to be reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which I heard sucks. And this Thursday, at the request of Kat, because she's so pretty, she says she wanted us to do Christmas Chaos, Tromeo and Juliet, and Frankenhooker, all Troma films, one of which she's in for some reason. So I do it for the ladies, Evan. I am always doing it for the ladies. And the lady requested that of me, and so the ladies always get what they want.
Okay.
Speaking of giving the ladies what they want, Evan, where can people find you?
Oh, wow. That may be your worst segue ever.
Oh, no, there's been far worse.
Okay.
Listen, I haven't started reading banned vinyl titles at you yet, and don't ask me what they are or I'm going to do it. And trust me, you, good Christian boy, good to his mother, walks with the angels and on water, Evan Bevins, don't want me to read banned vinyl at you.
Okay. I appreciate that. If you like my ideas but hate the sound of my voice, you can go to *51.blogspot.com. That's where I have breakdowns of various and sundry comics and movies, often purchased at Dollar Tree. So hashtag Dollar Tree Cinema, hashtag Free Comic Friday, or some of the things I'm doing. I've got to find another long-term project. I've just been bouncing around at different things. Going to try to get some Christmas holiday themed stuff out there. Although you can also look at some of my past entries on that, like Marvel 2-in-1 number 8, the time The Thing and Ghost Rider saved Christmas, which Jesse Starcher, Chris Armstrong, and I will be talking about on an upcoming issue of the Source Material Comics podcast. Upcoming episode, not issue. You can go back and edit that, right?
That's a source material and not an unspoken issues?
It's not the 90s, it's the 70s.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Steve Gerber, creator of Howard the Duck, wrote a heartwarming Christmas story about The Thing and Ghost Rider, trying to figure out why a Native American reservation has been transformed into Bethlehem on Christmas Eve.
Sounds marvelous.
It is marvelous. It is one of my favorite things I've ever read. Or you can check out my explanation for why the plot of Iron Man 2 was carried out in real life in the form of the Muppet Christmas Carol. True story, Mark. But I'm not going to explain it all here. You got to click the link for that. But so, and then every month, Jesse Starcher and I do Snap Material on the Source Material channel, where we talk about the latest cards and tomfoolery with the mobile card game Marvel Snap.
Absolutely wonderful. Simply outstanding. Might even say it's mediocre. Well, that has been our episode of Comic Script. For Evan Bevins, I'm finding the outro. Be well, be safe, and behave.